Welcome to this next class of dynamics of charged particles. In the last class, we have seen the motion of a charged particle in uniform electric field. We have seen what happens when a charged particle moving with a constant velocity enters a uniform electric field in the direction of the field, against the direction of the field, and perpendicular to the direction of the electric field. We have seen that if it is entering in perpendicular direction, it goes in projectile or parabolical path. In this class, we are going to see the motion of a charged particle in uniform magnetic field. So, we are going to see what happens when a charged particle enters a uniform magnetic field. This, as you may remember, you have studied in the last classes in cyclotron, when you were studying the cyclotron. Okay, let us start with this concept. Now, if a charged particle is going to enter a uniform magnetic field, there is going to be a force that is going to act on this particle. And this force, which is magnetic force, is given by Lorentz equation. This force is Q into V cross B, where B is the magnetic field. This is the uniform magnetic field. V is the uniform velocity of the particle, and Q is the charge of the particle. And this equation that tells us about the force, magnetic force, that is going to act on a charged particle in uniform magnetic field is called as Lorentz force equation. This is the Lorentz force equation. Now, as you can see, it is a cross product between velocity and the magnetic field. And we know that the force is also equal to mass into acceleration. So, mass into acceleration will be equal to Q into V cross B. Now, from this we can easily find out what is the equation for acceleration. So, acceleration will be equal to Q into V cross B divided by the mass of the charged particle. This M is the mass of the charged particle. Mass of the charged particle. Now, from the above acceleration equation, let us draw a box around it, because this equation is important, and we are going to use the same method that we used for electric field. First, we are going to find the equation for the acceleration. Now, you can see that it is a cross product. That means it will be Q into V B sine theta. So, we can write this as acceleration will be equal to Q V B into sine theta, where sine theta is the angle between velocity and magnetic field. So, this angle will be very important. If, let us say, the theta is 0, what does it mean? Theta is 0. Theta is 0 means the charged particle, let us take the coordinates here. Let us say that this is the x, y and z axis. This is y, this is z, and this is x axis. Let us take the magnetic field along the x axis. This is the magnetic field, and if theta is 0, that means the velocity is also in the same direction as that of magnetic field. Then what is going to happen? As we can see from the above equation, if theta is 0, sine theta will be also equal to 0, and the acceleration as well as force will be 0. There will be no force acting on a charged particle which is moving in the same direction as that of magnetic field. In this case, the direction is x. So if a charged particle is moving along x-axis, there will be no force, no magnetic force acting on that particle. Now, if the charged particle is, let us say, moving perpendicular to the magnetic field, that means the angle that we are considering, theta, is 90 degrees. Theta is 90 degree. That means sin theta, sin 90 will be equal to 1. That means acceleration will be qvb divided by m, and the force, the magnetic force, will be q into v into b. This is the maximum acceleration and this is the maximum force. If sin theta is 90, the sine will have the maximum value, and hence the force or the acceleration also will be maximum. So if the velocity is perpendicular to the magnetic field, the magnetic force will be maximum. One more case here we can take is when velocity of the particle is 0. That means it is a stationary particle, it is not moving. Then, as we know from the equation, let us call this equation number 1. From equation 1, it is clear that if velocity is 0, the acceleration as well as the force will be also equal to 0. That means magnetic field will not act on a particle, charged particle, which is stationary. It is going to only act on the particles which are having some velocity. So these are the three cases that are possible. Another case is that when a charged particle enters at an angle which is greater than 0, we know that at 0 the magnetic force will not act, and less than 90. Then we will have to divide this velocity into two parts, the perpendicular component and the parallel component. But let us look at the second case in little bit more detail. If the charged particle enters with a velocity, let us say v, which is perpendicular to the magnetic field, that means the angle between them is 90 degree. The angle between the velocity and the magnetic field is 90 degrees. And as we know, the magnetic force will be maximum here. The magnetic force will be q into v into b, and the acceleration will be q v b divided by mass. Now let us see an example of this. In the diagram you can see the magnetic field is pointing downwards to the plane of the paper. It is pointing inside the plane of the paper. The velocity is perpendicular. That means this velocity is in the xy plane. The velocity is along x or along y, and the magnetic field is along this z axis. It is pointing downwards. It is pointing towards downward direction. Now if a particle enters in such a magnetic field at an angle 90 degrees, then what is going to happen is at every point, let us say the particle enters somewhere here. The particle enters at this, let us say the point is A. The magnetic force is going to be perpendicular to this velocity, and because it is perpendicular, the magnitude of the velocity will be not affected. Magnitude will be not affected, only the direction of the velocity will change. So the particle will start rotating. It will come at maybe second point, let us say B. Again here the force will be perpendicular to the velocity. The magnetic force is always perpendicular to the velocity. So the particle will start rotating. It will rotate in a circle. It will rotate in a circle if the velocity is perpendicular. And because it is rotating in a circle, this force, that is the magnetic force, is also acting like a centripetal force. the equation for the centripetal force will be centripetal force as we know is equal to mv square divided by r, where r is the radius of that circle. This centripetal force will be equal to the magnetic force, and so mv square by r will be equal to magnetic force. We know magnetic force is q v into b, that is the magnetic field. So 1 power of velocity will cancel, and now we can write an equation for the radius which will be equal to mv divided by q into b, mv divided by q into b. This is equation for the radius. Let us call this equation number 2, and this radius r is also called as gyro radius, or it is also called as cyclotron radius. As this is the radius with which the particle rotates in that cyclotron machine. So it is also called as cyclotron radius. From the equation it is clear that more the mass, more will be the radius, and more the velocity, the radius will be more. More the charge is in the denominator, so more the charge, the smaller will be the radius. So that is what is used in this cyclotron, where we try to accelerate or increase the velocity of the particle. Now here we have seen how the particle behaves if it is entering at an angle 90 degrees to the magnetic field. Now let us see if the particle enters at a angle which is not 0 and not equal to 90. So the particle, velocity of the particle is at an angle theta to the magnetic field, and this theta is greater than 0, because if it is 0 there will be no magnetic force, but it is less than 90 degrees. If it is less than 90 degrees, that means it is entering at an angle, let us say 60 or 30. Then what will be the type of motion of this charged particle? Let us see this diagram. In this diagram you can see this is the velocity of the particle which is entering at an angle which is not 90 degrees or not 0 degrees. Then we can divide this velocity into two components. One component which is perpendicular, a component which is perpendicular to the magnetic field, and a component which is parallel to the magnetic field. The component which is perpendicular is V2 and the component which is parallel is V1. We have already seen what happens for the perpendicular component. So for the perpendicular component we know that radius, we have seen what happens for the perpendicular component. We have the equation for the radius. Radius is equal to m. Now here it will be V2, because we have divided the velocity into two components. V2 is the perpendicular component divided by q into the magnetic field B. This will be the radius with which it will rotate, and we know it will create circles. Now if we consider these circles, then V2, that is the velocity, the magnitude of the velocity will not change, as the force is perpendicular at each and every point. And this V2, because of this V2, it will travel some distance, and let us divide it by time. Now because it is rotating in circles, we can find the time required to complete these circles. Let us say the time required to complete this circle is capital T. Then the distance will be nothing but circumference, that is 2 pi r, and then we can replace this V2 will be equal to 2 pi r divided by capital T, where T is the time required to complete one circle. It can be also called as the period of revolution. So T will be equal to 2 pi r divided by this V2. Now what is this V2? We have seen from this equation mV2 square by r is equal to qv into b. That means centripetal force is equal to magnetic force. So V2, one power we have cancelled, V2 will be qb divided by m qbr divided by m. So let us replace this value in this equation. If we replace this value in this equation, T will be 2 pi r divided by V2. Now V2 is qbr divided by m, that means m will go in the numerator. Now here we can cancel r and we will get an equation for time period, that is 2 pi m divided by qb. Now try to see in this equation, let us call this equation number 3. In this equation, try to see that everything is constant. M is constant, Q is constant, the magnetic field is also constant. We are talking about uniform magnetic field, and 2 pi we know is also constant. So this period, this time period will be also constant. It will not depend on velocity. Try to see, it is not depending on the velocity of the particle. It depends on m, q, b, which all are constants. That is why the particle, when it enters a magnetic field, it rotates with the same time period. From this we can also find out equation for frequency, because we know 1 by f, T is equal to 1 by f, or f is equal to 1 by t. We'll write f is equal to 1 by t. So this frequency will be equal to 1 divided by t. T is 2 pi m, q and b will go in the numerator. This is equation number 4. Now this is the frequency. Again, the frequency will be also constant. It will not depend on the velocity, because there is no velocity in the equation. This frequency is also called as cyclotron frequency, or the gyro frequency. It is the frequency, it is the number of revolutions that a particle, charged particle, revolves in a uniform magnetic fields. Number of revolutions in uniform magnetic fields. This frequency is called as the gyro frequency or the cyclotron frequency. As you may remember, you may have learned this in the previous classes. Now here we are talking about a particle which is moving at an angle. We have talked about the perpendicular component. We found out the time period required to complete this revolution. We also found out the frequency. Now there is also a parallel component. As the particle rotates, this parallel component will also move it in forward direction along x-axis. So there will be a circle and it will move in forward direction also. Because of this, the path of the particle will look like a helical path, like coils. It will be, let us draw it here. The path, it will be circling, at the same time it will be also moving in forward direction. So the path will be like this. It will be helical. The path will be helical, like coils of the wire. These revolutions are because of the perpendicular component, and this forward motion is because of the parallel component of the velocity. It will be not affected. And this distance from one helix to the other helix is called as the pitch. Is called as the pitch of the revolution. Now try to understand, when it completes this one revolution, it will be moving forwards also. So if we take this time period t to complete one revolution, then we can also find out how much distance it has moved forwards. So v1, which is the parallel component of the velocity, will be equal to distance again divided by, let us take capital T. Capital T is the time period to complete one revolution, and during this one revolution it also moves little bit forwards, and this distance that it moves in forward direction is called as pitch. So here, because T is time period, time required to complete one revolution, the distance will be equal to pitch of that helical path. And now we can find an equation for the pitch, which will be equal to v1 into t. We know that t is 2 pi m divided by q into b. So this will be an equation for the pitch. Let us call this equation number, I think so, 4, or this is equation number 5. That is, this is an equation for the distance between two helix. So we have seen what happens when a particle enters at an angle to the magnetic field. When it enters at an angle to the magnetic field, it will go in helical path. There is an equation to find out the radius of this circle or helical path, that is mv2 q divided by b, where v2 is the perpendicular component of the velocity. What we have to understand here is, if the particle enters at an angle more than 0 degrees and less than 90 degrees, then we have to divide this into two parts, parallel part and the perpendicular part. The perpendicular part will cause revolution, and the radius of this revolution or the circle is given by mv2 divided by q into b. But at the same time it will be traveling forwards also, so it will make helix or the coils, and it will travel some distance during one revolution. This distance is called as the pitch, and we can also find out the pitch. Pitch, as we have found out, is equal to the parallel component of the velocity multiplied by the time period, and the time period is 2 pi m divided by q into b. So this is the motion of the charged particle in a uniform magnetic field. If it is entering in a perpendicular direction, it will perform circles, as we have seen in the cyclotron, and this period or the time period will be constant, or the cyclotron frequency will be constant. Whereas if it enters at an angle, it will go in helical path. So we have finished the motion of the charged particle in uniform magnetic field. Thank you.